NeuroGov Plus, Advanced AI, is a governance-first cockpit designed to standardize decision-making across critical domains for board members, CXOs, regulators, auditors, and senior operational leaders. It ensures that AI contributes predictive intelligence while decision authority remains explicitly governed. For organizations engaged in AI model development, NeuroGov Plus provides the essential governance layer that validates, controls, and operationalizes model outputs within approved boundaries. All outcomes are evaluated against predefined thresholds, enabling repeatable and consistent decisions under operational pressure. The cockpit is audit-ready by design, producing traceable and defensible evidence for every governed action. Complex domain data is consolidated into a single, board-level view of risk, performance, and compliance. The framework remains mature and invariant while AI predictions evolve within controlled boundaries. Architected and authored by Dr. Pradeep K. Suri, inventor and architect of the 3D, 10D AI-DNN engine, Cognitive Cube, and Analyzer 1.0, NeuroGov Plus embodies his doctoral and postdoctoral research on governance-first AI systems. Tyre Cord governance intent. Inform only process signals for Caprolactam rightward arrow yarn rightward arrow looms rightward arrow dip fabric. The UI visualizes quality plus productivity deltas, but Analyzer 1.0 retains authority. No autonomous decisions, the cockpit is a governance instrument for UI-to-UI supervision. Play button TDS. Stop. Process KPIs, plant snapshot. Caprolactam purity. 99.82%. Moisture, Caprolactam. 0.06%. Yarn denier CV %. 1.9%. Uster evenness. 11.4. Loom efficiency. 86%. Ends down. 12/1000. Fabric GSM CV %. 2.4%. Pick density. 46.2. Dipping adhesion. 92.5 N. Dip pickup. 5.7%. Cure temp stability. Plus or minus 1.4 degrees C. Final defect rate. 1.2%. Play button TDS. Stop. Delta heat map, actual vs target, KPI table. Delta equals actual target, last tick. Status uses policy tolerance plus direction. This table is inform only, Analyzer 1.0 sets final pass/watch/fail. KPI direction tolerance actual, last, target, last, delta, AT, status node. Loom efficiency up, higher better, plus or minus 2%, 86%, 90%, minus 4% watch tolerance breached. Analyzer input readiness up, higher better, plus or minus 2.5%, 90%, 94%, minus 4% watch tolerance breached. Ends down, lower better, plus or minus 2 per 1012 per 1009 per 1003 per 1000 watch tolerance breached. Fabric GSM CV down, lower better, plus or minus 0.4%, 2.4%, 2%, 0.4% watch tolerance breached. Caprolactam purity up, higher better, plus or minus 0.1%, 99.82%, 99.9% minus 0.1% watch tolerance breached. Dipping adhesion up, higher better, plus or minus 3.5 N 92.5 N 96 N minus 3.5 N pass gap present, within tolerance. Uster evenness down, lower better, plus or minus 0.6 index 11.4 index 10.8 index 0.6 index pass gap present, within tolerance. Pick density up, higher better, plus or minus 0.6 px/in 46.2 px/in 46.8 px/in minus 0.6 px/in pass gap present, within tolerance. Cure temp stability down, lower better, plus or minus 0.4 degrees C, plus or minus 1.4 degrees Celsius, plus or minus 1 degree Celsius, plus or minus 0.4 degrees Celsius, plus or minus, pass gap present, within tolerance. Dip pickup up, higher better, plus or minus 0.4%, 5.7%, 6%, minus 0.3% pass gap present, within tolerance. Final defect rate down, lower better, plus or minus 0.3%, 1.2%, 1%, 0.2% pass gap present, within tolerance. Yarn denier CV down, lower better, plus or minus 0.3%, 1.9%, 1.8%, 0.1% pass gap present, within tolerance. Moisture in Caprolactam down, lower better, plus or minus 0%, 0.1%, 0.1%, 0% pass gap present, within tolerance. Play button TDS. Stop. Delta heat map, actual vs target. Tyre Cord inform graphs. Each chart shows actual vs target, inform only. Delta badges apply policy tolerance, analyzer gate sets pass/watch/fail. Caprolactam purity. Unit, percent scale, 99.58 to 99.92. Policy, direction equals up, tolerance equals plus or minus 0.1%, fail if 2 times tolerance. Delta, AT. Minus 0.1%. Watch. Higher is better, gap if actual target. Below target for 6/6 sticks. Worst gap at T1, delta minus 0.1%. Policy status, watch, tolerance breached. Actual. Target. 99.58. 99.66. 99.75. 99.84. 99.92. T1. T2. T3. T4. T5. T6. Moisture in Caprolactam. Unit, percent scale, 0 to 0.1. Policy, direction equals down, tolerance equals plus or minus 0%, fail if 2 times tolerance. Delta, AT. 0%. Gap. Lower is better, gap if actual target. Below target for 6/6 sticks. Worst gap at T1, delta 0%. Policy status, gap, within tolerance. Actual. Target. 0. 0.1. 0.1. 0.1. 0.1. T1. T2. T3. T4. T5. T6. Yarn denier CV. Unit, percent scale, 1.7 to 2.7. Policy, direction equals down, tolerance equals plus or minus 0.3%, fail if 2 times tolerance. Delta, AT. 0.1%. Gap. Lower is better, gap if actual target. Below target for 6/6 sticks. Worst gap at T1, delta 0.4%. Policy status, gap, within tolerance. Actual. Target. 1.7. 2. 2.2. 2.4, 2.7, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. Uster evenness. Unit, index scale, 10.61 to 13.39. Policy, direction equals down, tolerance equals plus or minus 0.6, index fail if 2 times tolerance. Delta, 80. 0.6 index. Gap. Lower is better, gap if actual target. Below target for 6/6 ticks. Worst gap at T2, delta 0.8 index. Tyre cord inform graphs. Each chart shows actual vs target, inform only. IGA 2026 boundary. Data lake rightward arrow LLM, inform, rightward arrow analyzer 1.0, govern, rightward arrow NeuroGov plus UI, assure. Play button TDS. Stop. Purpose and governance stance. The cockpit represents a UI-to-UI Governance Cockpit, Master 2026, designed specifically for the Caprolactam rightward arrow yarn, rightward arrow looms, rightward arrow dipped fabric, Tyre cord, manufacturing chain. Its core purpose is not automation, but governed visibility. All signals shown are strictly inform only, meaning the UI visualizes operational reality without taking authority. Decision power is constitutionally retained by Analyzer 1.0, govern, while NeuroGov Plus, assure, ensures traceability, auditability, and compliance under the IGA 2026 framework. Process-aligned UI structure. The layout mirrors the physical plant flow, making the cockpit intuitive for operations, quality, and governance teams. The sidebar navigation follows a clear sequence overview, KPIs, delta heat map, graphs, boundary, and audit, so users move from intent to evidence logically. This structure enforces the principle that domain knowledge plugs in as data, while governance logic remains constant across the entire Tyre cord lifecycle, regardless of department or role. KPI and delta-based intelligence. The KPI grid and delta heat map form the analytical backbone of the cockpit. Each metric, such as caprolactam purity, yarn evenness, loom efficiency, dipping adhesion, and final defect rate, is evaluated as actual vs target, with directionality, higher better or lower better, and tolerance explicitly encoded. Color-coded pass, watch, and fail states are derived from policy thresholds, not intuition. Importantly, gap conditions within tolerance are shown transparently, preventing silent normalization of risk. Graphs, policy context, and explainability. The graph section deepens explainability by visualizing trends over time, showing how performance evolves across multiple ticks rather than isolated snapshots. Each chart embeds policy context, direction rules, tolerance limits, and failure conditions, along with a mini narrative explaining where and why deviations occur. Tooltips, legends, and delta badges ensure that any stakeholder, from plant head to auditor, can interpret the data without hidden assumptions or black box reasoning. Analyzer verdict and audit readiness. At the bottom, the analyzer verdict bar formalizes governance by consolidating all KPI evaluations into a single pass/watch/fail outcome. This verdict is derived only after policy evaluation across all metrics, reinforcing that prediction is not permission. The audit section records the governing rule set and final outcome, making the cockpit evidence ready, regulator ready, and board ready. In essence, this HTML is not a dashboard, it is a constitutional control surface for industrial AI governance under IGA 2026, authored and architected by Dr. Pradeep K. Suri.